Snagged by Strus, out to Jerome, and Jerome is on one.
The Cleveland Cavaliers just got a huge bounce back win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The game was not as close as the score made it seem. Donovan Mitchell finally bounced back and kinda got out of his shooting slump. The Cavs found ways to get it done on both ends of the floor despite missing Mobley and Okoro, and the bench really stepped up, especially Jerome, who always comes in the game and steadies the ship off the bench. So this was a really great win. It felt like the Cavs showed short-term memory because it's not always easy to come back firing after losing the way they did in OKC. But this team really does keep proving that they are for real, and the NBA hates it, and I'm going to be talking all about it. But before I begin, I want to give a major shout out to Cleveland's cool clothing. As you may see with what I'm wearing right now, I know it's hard to get it in the camera, they sent me a ton of cool stuff. They got sweatshirts, customized t-shirts of the players, like this Jared Allen one. They have so much stuff, and it's not only Cavs. If you're a big Guards fan, they have this sick tribe shirt that is a mix of the Indians feather and the Cleveland sea. It's my personal favorite, so definitely go check them out. I'm not just promoting them to promote them. The product is so quality, and I've been wearing this sweatshirt around a lot. And if you go to the store and get something, use the code SPENCE and you will get 15% off your order. It's a great deal, and again, shout out to Cleveland's cool clothing. Everything will be in my description that you need to know. Alright, so the Cavs beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 124 to 117. Minnesota was coming into this game on the second night of a back-to-back, but the way they came out of the gate, I really was not feeling great about things. It felt like it was going to be another one of those games, but after tying it up, the Cavs finally had another Cavalanche with a ton of guys getting involved, and then Jerome finishing it off. Looking at the final stats from this game, Donovan Mitchell played 33 minutes, and once again, even in a game like this where Cleveland was shorthanded, Kenny Atkinson still didn't overwork anyone too much, and Donovan Mitchell led the way in scoring with 36, and he also had 8 rebounds and 7 assists. He did get a little sloppy with the ball at times, but overall, I thought this was a great rebound game for him, and his counterpart Darius Garland had 29 points with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. I'm telling you, when both these guys are on and they are getting each other involved, they are the best backcourt in the league. And then even though Jared Allen statistically did not have a good game with 14 points and 4 rebounds, he was up against Rudy Gobert, who has won all these Defensive Player of the Year awards for a reason. And Allen had the highest plus minus of anyone in the starting lineup for the 35 big minutes he was on the court. And then Dean Wade was his normal self, with a decent stat line of 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. And every now and then I will see a random Wade stat where the Cavs are like basically undefeated when he plays. He really is an impact guy that is so underappreciated. And speaking of underappreciated, Jerome has not got enough credit this season by anyone for what he has been doing. I really don't think he plays enough minutes because he always plays within himself and at his own pace. Nobody ever slows him down or speeds him up, and he is always super efficient. Even in that Thunder game, in the few minutes he played, he was the only Cav for the entire game to have a positive plus minus. And then tonight he was plus 28, which is just absurd. I think he's going to be a key factor in a playoff series. I think he's a guy that will put himself on the map for real in front of everyone when it matters most. This might be crazy to say and might be a stretch, but I think when the Cavs have their backs against the wall, he's one of the guys I would trust the most to lead the team, because he's never going to try to play hero ball. And then the other guy off the bench that actually had a really good game was Georges Niang. I'm all over the place with him, but so is everyone, because at times he looks like he's the worst player in the league and doesn't belong out there, and then there are other times when he's hot and he's super fun and you don't want him on the bench. I do like his fight and the dog he has in him, because even though he's older and just physically can't match up with the athleticism that some guys have, he often finds a way to hold his own. My only concern with him is that in the playoffs, I don't think he will get any minutes. Anyone would instantly expose him, and if the Cavs aren't 100% healthy and he is out there, I really do think that could create problems. And speaking of that, I still do think the Cavs could use another wing, because I personally am not the biggest fan of Max Strus. I know he was hurt and is still getting a feel for things, but he's been really cold so far in his return, and he's just a shot chucker. Another one of those guys that's fun when he's hot, but awful when he's cold. And he doesn't really help to negate any of the Cavs' size problems with how small the starting backcourt is, and that's why I want Cam Johnson. He's a guy that is floating around a ton in regards to Cavs trade rumors, and I understand why. I know he's not like the perfect player, but I think he would make the Cavs feel a lot better about the perimeter in the postseason, because I really do feel like in that Thunder game, the Cavs saw some of the weaknesses they have, and this team is way too good to not go all in and try to do everything possible to win a championship. I think right now it's safe to say that Cleveland is a primary destination that a lot of players on the market want to go to, but the question is, how could the Cavs make a trade like this happen money and asset wise? Johnson is 28, he's averaging a career high at 19.6 points per game and is shooting 43% from behind the arc. His combination of size, athleticism, and shooting ability would seem to fit well in the Cavs' otherwise potent offensive attack. The Nets have indicated to rival teams that they aren't as determined to move Johnson as they were to ship out Dennis Schroeder and Dorian Finney-Smith. Schroeder is headed for unrestricted free agency this summer, and Finney-Smith can join him if he declines a $15.4 million player option, and Johnson on the other hand has 2 seasons left on his 4-year, $94 million contract, which descends in salary to $20.5 million for 2026. Brooklyn has thus maintained a high asking price for Johnson. The Nets have sought as many as 2 first-round picks packaged with a young player in conversations with certain teams, sources say. And if Brooklyn doesn't find a deal to its liking, it's not hard to imagine Johnson remaining in net despite the constant news media speculation about his future and all the genuine interest from around the league. Any interest from Cleveland as such seems preliminary at best. The Cavaliers have indeed called on Johnson, sources say, but their approach for the 28-year-old hasn't advanced much further to this point. Maybe that changes over these next 2+ weeks, but it seems unrealistic that Cleveland could meet the Nets' demands without a real first-rounder available to headline a trade package until 2031. I just thought I should bring this up because I really do like Cam, and I hope the Cavs could find a way to make a deal like this happen. At first, I didn't want any trades to take place to potentially mess up any chemistry. I still do 90% feel that way, but I think it's obvious some more size and shooting around the perimeter could be huge in a postseason series. But again, I really do not want to overreact to what we saw on Thursday against the Thunder, because it was one of those games where the Thunder got going and just could not miss, and they took the Cavs out of the game from the jump. After that huge 30-point run, the Cavs played neck and neck with them the rest of the way. I'm not justifying this loss, it was definitely a beatdown, but there is no time to panic. And the Cavs did a great job by bouncing back on the road in a game that 9 out of 10 times they would have lost in years past. And I know you guys are probably tired of me going on these rants, but it is still crazy to me how much people have been hating on this team. I thought the NBA really did a great job over the past week of promoting this team. It was a nice change, but still nobody takes them serious. But I mean, that's just going to happen until they do something in the playoffs. And right now, with how much the Celtics are struggling, there isn't anyone in the East that scares me. Even with that Thunder loss, this is still a team that went an entire month losing only 1 game. And we are now officially halfway into the season, and the Cavs have a sparkling 35-6 record. So officially they are on pace to get 70 wins, and nobody gets that many wins for no reason. I know people say the Cavs are doing all this just to lose in the first round, but realistically, unless some catastrophic injuries happen, there is no one in the East that is going to upset this team in round 1 or even round 2. And then coming up this next week, the Cavs have another huge test. They have the Suns, then they are at Houston, and then they will face a Philly team that is desperate to get something going, and then they face Houston again, and a Bickerstaff-led Pistons team that has really surpassed expectations. But going back to the win over Minnesota, here's what some of the guys had to say in their post-game interviews.
You know, it's seamless. When they get in a game, they play how we want to play. You know, they're great connectors. They had super high IQ, and then they shoot the heck out of it. And then, you know, on the defensive side, they're just, it's the same thing. They connect the defense. They're smart. They cause turnovers. But that was really the difference in the game when those guys came in, and we turned it in the third quarter. What Ty was plus 28. Guy's having a heck of a year.
Donovan, a double-double for George tonight. Kenny shouted him out as just the best defensive player on the floor out there. Like, what do you make of just how great he was?
I mean, he does whatever's asked of him. You know, he's our heart and soul. He's our laughter, as you've seen. He's our energy. You know, he's our steady guy. He does it all. And then on nights like tonight, you got Evan out, get you 10 boards. I mean, offensively, back cuts, getting to the rim, different things like that, knocking down shots, being there. He does it all. You know, he's an unsung hero of tonight and of our team all year. You know, I think you've seen it in nights like tonight where the stats You know, if people just look at the stats, they see it, but like he's been like this for us all year.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support really does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.